everyone. Welcome to All Things Iceland, the place to get the inside scoop on Icelandic nature, history, culture, and language. My name is Jules, and I have a lovely episode, a lovely interview that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and that is with María Thelma, who is a very talented actor. And she grew up here in Iceland, has Icelandic and Thai heritage. And it was just really fascinating to talk to her about the experience of growing up here, having this mix of heritage with her mother being from Thailand and her father being from Iceland. And I just love that she gave insight on that, as well as her experience in theater and studying theater and being a working actor. And even before branching out as a professional, she was studying at the university, the Icelandic Academy of Arts, specifically in drama. And she was the first person of Asian descent in Iceland to graduate from the Icelandic Academy of Arts. She is a trailblazer, and I'm so grateful that she was able to find some time to share with all of us how it's been for her working in theater, how it's been for her working in movies or on television programs. And it was so awesome when I found out that she did a one-woman play called Welcome Home, that is a spoken word performance that tells the story of her mother's immigrant experience from Thailand. On top of that though, I mean, like, in terms of her first film that she was in a feature film starring alongside Mads Mikkelsen. How epic is that? It's amazing. So it's just really cool overall to hear her talk about those experiences. So if you are enjoying the different interviews and the topics that I share, please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more awesome videos coming your way. All right, let's jump into the interview. Go the skemmtun! María Thelma, hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, and I'm excited to speak with you for many reasons. You're a trailblazer as an actor here in Iceland, and also you've done some really fascinating films and shows, as well as just your life in general. I think there's a lot to kind of give insight to individuals who listen to the podcast who maybe aren't aware that there's so many diverse people in Iceland, diverse Icelanders really. Mm-hmm. And so it'd be great if we can kind of start off with the fact that you are Icelandic and have mixed heritage, being that you're Thai and Icelandic, and you grew up in this household of mixed heritage. So I'm just wondering, how was that for you? Where was your mom speaking Thai to you and your dad speaking Icelandic? Can you kind of just give us a perspective on that?
Yeah, it was confusing, I think.
Okay.
So confusing, but I really remember being a kid and really have to understand that when you're at home, you speak a certain language, and when you're at school, you speak a certain language. And when you're at home, you eat this kind of food, but when you're at school, you eat this kind of food. And when you're at home, you act in a certain way, and there are some some kind of, how do you say it, hefðir in English.
I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure about that word.
We have certain traditions, and then you might not have it in some other places, you know.
Yeah.
But my mom always spoke to me in Thai, and my dad spoke to me in Icelandic. And at school, I obviously spoke Icelandic as well. Yeah. And kids are like sponges when it comes to learning languages. So yeah.
Okay. And what did your parents speak to each other? Icelandic?
They speak like Thai/English/Icelandic.
Okay.
So my dad knows a couple of words in Thai.
I know the couple.
But most of the time they just speak English.
Yeah.
And my mother understands Icelandic as well. She's been here for almost 30 years. So
wow, okay.
Yeah.
And did you, as a kid, did you go to Thailand to, visit and kind of learn more about your heritage, or something that you did later on in life?
Mhm. So yes, I used to travel a lot when I was younger, and I've been a couple of times to Thailand, and uh, I once or twice went to where my mother was born, and but other than that, I just go as a tourist, and it's
Yeah.
that, when I go to Thailand, people don't see that I'm Thai like right away.
Okay.
So they see that I'm a foreigner, but not necessarily that my heritage is Thai. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
really surprising to them when I start speaking Thai. But yeah,
Okay, that's really fascinating.
yeah.
And you said like it was confusing. Did you have, friends of yours when you were younger asking questions? Maybe if they came over to your house and you're speaking to your mom in Thai, and obviously it's a completely different language than Icelandic. So is there like people were like, okay, interesting, or did it make you feel like you stuck out in some way, or was it kind of just all merging well for you as a kid?
hmm It was. I was very shy
Yeah.
about it
Okay.
because there were so many things that were different. You know, like the food that we ate,
Yeah.
they smelled differently, and they were so unusual, quote unquote,
Yeah.
for them. And like the food I sometimes brought from home, I was so shy to eat the Thai food at school because they were just so
Oh,
different.
yeah.
And seeing that my mother didn't always understand what was going on in school, so I had to translate everything for her.
Yeah.
And yeah, like when my friends would come over, my home was just so different as well. We had a lot of like statues of Buddha and the king,
Yeah.
and all the just the way my living room was staged. It was just
Yeah,
and
it's very like, Thai influence in
yeah,
life.
absolutely. And yeah, I used to hide the fact that I
Yeah.
spoke two languages. So
Yeah.
if my mother would talk to me in Thai, and I would just like answer her in Icelandic,
Okay.
because I didn't know how to embrace it, to have
Yeah.
two heritage. And but now later on, I embrace it so much.
Yeah, that's
So,
great. And I feel
with,
like it takes that, like
yeah,
maturity and understanding that
of
it's unique
course.
and good. Yeah. But as a
Yeah.
kid, I can totally understand being like, oh, feels too different.
Yeah, we eat on the floor. That's how we do it, with our hands.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
yeah, it's
yeah, so it wasn't until I was like 20 years old or something where I really embraced it.
and is that when you went to the Academy, Icelandic Academy of Arts? Is that the same age for like, because university in Iceland starts
Yeah,
later for,
yeah,
yeah, the kids here?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yes,
And
absolutely.
speaking of that, yeah, you're the first person of Asian descent in Iceland. It also read that you were first person mixed heritage, but if I'm not incorrect, you and Alkdís, did you graduate at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, the two of you made history together, right? As being having mixed heritage Icelanders, graduating from the Icelandic Academy of Arts in Drama. And for you, as the first person of Asian descent, were you aware that you were making history in this way when you graduated?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like you probably look back like, is there anybody else here that looks like me?
No, yeah. And I knew before I went to school, like when I was
Okay.
16, 17 years old, I knew that I wanted to become an actress. But I was so sure that it wouldn't happen because there were nobody else with a mixed heritage or people of color. There was nobody. So
Wow.
um, so I was convinced that nothing would happen then, and I wouldn't have a future in this field in Iceland because I've
Wow.
never seen it before.
Right.
So I thought to myself, okay, then I could be the first one, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, because I thought that people of color or with another heritage just couldn't act, or not they couldn't act. They just, I don't know. I thought it would be harder for them to have a future in this industry in Iceland
Yeah.
than somebody else, but
I think that's a rightful
at
thing
all.
to feel. Yeah, if you don't see it, why would you assume that it's possible, right?
Right.
Like, yeah.
It's like
Okay.
only seeing men in movies. Like it's so
Mhm.
absurd, or you know. Uh, so yeah, it took me a bit of a time to really embrace it, to stand in it,
Yeah.
and embrace the richness that comes with it, and to use it as to see it as a like a kostur,
As like
and
a benefit or something, or
to see it as uh, uh, not a con, but as a pro.
a pro. Yeah, yeah, positive.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
something that's positive.
Yeah. Absolutely. Was there something in particular about wanting to be an actor? Like you're 16, did you see a movie? Did you, is there something that clicked in your brain that I was like, yes, that is what I want to do. That is my path in life.
Um, no, because I think acting is it's really the art form of it. It's so humane, and I love people. I could sit all day and watch people, and it's just, I think it's the longing to understand people and
mm,
figure out why they do the things that they do, and
yeah.
at the same time it's so dangerous in theater, at least.
Okay.
So many things that can go wrong, and it's so exciting. um yeah, so no, there wasn't a play or a movie that I saw. I've always been a nerd.
Yeah, okay. Theater nerd.
Yeah, theater nerd, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And in your final year, you had to do a solo act for 20 minutes, right? And you came up with a show called Welcome Home. And I'm wondering if you can share what that show is about and what inspired you to decide to do your final year project on this, your final year act.
Yes, so we were assigned this project at school that we had to do a show for 20 minutes alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I knew that I wanted to be special, and I wanted to do a story. And I was living on my own at that time, and I went to my parents' house, and I started talking to my mom, and my sister asked me if I've ever wondered where she grew up and how she was born and everything. And
Mm.
I was just so ashamed that I hadn't taken the time to actually talk to her about it, and just uh, to see where she came from and where I came
Yeah.
from, and where my grandmother came from, and all my heritage, So
Yeah.
my mom and I started talking, and it was this really interesting story, and that's how the idea came about. And
Nice.
it's a story about my mother, uh, how she was born and how she was raised and why she came to Iceland, and how
Mm-hmm.
her life has developed in Iceland throughout the years. And I realized that, my goodness, I wouldn't be the way I am or at the place where I'm right now if it wasn't for my mother, like taking all these little steps and,
Yeah.
having the tenacity to come here and the courage to make a decision to leave her family and come to Iceland,
Yeah.
so far from the reality of it.
Yeah. It's a huge jump, and I'm sure it was pretty challenging for her
Yeah.
at different times. And I mean, do you mind talking about why your mom decided to come to Iceland?
Yeah, she met my father in a bar 30 years ago.
Okay. Love, basically.
And the rest is history, but they've
Yeah.
been together ever since.
Yeah, that's
So,
sweet.
yeah, and I realized that, because I said earlier that when I was little, I used to be so ashamed to have this mixed background. And
Hmm.
I was so ashamed to, have this different culture in me. And when I spoke to my mother, I felt so ashamed for being ashamed of her, you know. I mean, all these gifts that she gave me, like the language, my skin color, and
Yeah.
everything, she made a decision to have a great life for her children, and that's not easy.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And the racism that she has faced and everything, and it's all for the greater good.
Yeah.
I can sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's beautiful. I think it is one of those moments, like I mentioned, about maturity and also just realizing what you have. And it's great that you were able to not only be like come to a point where you can be grateful for your mother and what she's done, but also share it in this
Right.
beautiful art form that
Mm-hmm.
you are, becoming an expert at. And meaning, like when you were in school, this is something your craft that you're perfecting. I'm sure that's something that's always evolving, of course, as an actor. But I just think that's a great way of being able to be like, I'm going to take this from being a story that my mom told me that I hold dear to now sharing this with other individuals so they can get a gist of just how challenging this is for a person to come and give up their life, come to another place, learn the language, try to integrate, have children who now have to deal with the confusion that comes along with, mixed
Exactly.
heritage for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I think that's beautiful. And I think that's so great of your mother as well to be open to sharing that about, her life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And there are
Yeah.
so many people. I mean, everybody can see themselves in the story, because I also talk about how it is to be mixed race in an Icelandic all-white society, right? And there
Yeah.
are so many mixed race people in Iceland.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so,
It's
yeah,
surprisingly
and they can
many.
all see
Yeah.
themselves in the story, like
Yeah.
whether if they're from, whether if they're Polish or Spanish or whatever, the gist of it's the same, because it's like being stuck between two cultures. Like, I
Yeah.
understand this culture, but I can understand the value in this culture. I, yeah,
Yeah. How was your show received in Iceland? What was the response?
great response.
Wow.
I ended up um, doing the show like 50 times or something,
Wow.
which is a
Nice. That's
lot.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, which
You're
is
like
a lot for a one-man show here in Iceland.
Yeah.
Doing that right after graduation, it's so
Wow.
heavy. I really don't know what I was thinking, but oh my god, it's like doing a one-man show is probably one of the hardest forms that you deal with, because you are responsible for holding up the energy and doing it really
Yeah.
technically. And I remember being at the National Theatre, and I was just lying. I was on the couch crying.
Yeah. Oh.
And a friend of mine came and spoke to me, and he was like maybe 70 years old or something, like really experienced actor here in Iceland.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I was nervous, and I said, I'm absolutely nervous. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, and it's going to fail and everything. And
Oh.
he reminded me that there is a reason why there's so few actors that take up on this form to doing a one-man show, because it's
Mm.
so hard. It's so hard. But if you nail this production, then you can nail almost everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's not
Yeah, that
really
sounds intense. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's amazing and congratulations on it having gone so well. And also you kind of like created a job for yourself after graduation by like having this show, which is pretty cool. I don't think many people can say that.
no,
So,
exactly. And that is something I learned a lot, because from this job, from this production, another production came out of that. We did a
mm,
radio play from this production, and
nice.
so that's a skill, not a skill, but that's a work ethic that you really have to develop and have in your pocket when you're an actor, because you cannot rely on other people to call you and sit
Right,
on the phone and wait, and if nobody calls you, then you're not going to do anything. So
right.
definitely have the ability to do your own stuff and
Yeah.
get it out there and just do it. And it's super hard, but you can't rely on other people to do
Yeah.
things for you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is a harder question to answer, but do you feel like in Iceland, because a lot of the times energy wise, I feel like here people are very creative and kind of just go for it and try things, you know? And do you feel like in the theater and even film industry, it's like that as well? Like you get this still same sense of like, if you have an idea, you can kind of just run with it, try it out, see what people think, or is the barrier much harder to kind of get through because maybe there's a history of how things are done?
What do you mean?
In terms of, so if you, this one person show, for instance, right,
Mhm.
you decide to take it on into 50 performances. Was that something that was like, I'm just going to go with it and try it? And the National Theater was like, cool, we like this idea, go for it. Or is there like a lot more bureaucracy around getting a show in a theater or, you know, filming a movie and getting it played and things like that here?
Mhm. Well, when I did my show at the school, the director of the National Theater came and saw my show.
Okay.
So he had already seen the show and he liked it a lot. And I went to get the money for the show to put it up at the National Theater, and he offered me a space because
Nice.
he
Okay.
had the money and he saw the show and he liked it. So he just offered me the space in the theater. And
Yeah.
it worked so well that he offered me to do a tour around Iceland.
Oh, okay.
So it was the National Theatre who really stood by my back and, paid everything so the show could
Yeah.
go around the country.
That's awesome. Okay, because like in other places, if people are in their like national theater, because maybe the country's so much bigger, or just so much is going on, you know, there's a lot more that might go into being able to have your own show play in the national theater. Whereas like some people have to go on like the off venue, you know, like
Yeah,
you know, so
exactly.
you just never know. And I'm not saying it's easier. I'm just curious as like what was the process like for you?
Yeah.
And it sounds like, you know, it's one of those like it's great that the director came and
Mhm.
it's, you know, not surprising that you did well. And it went on to be something really successful and awesome. And I think it's great that you took it around the country too, because now you're bringing it to people who wouldn't have access to the National Theater or to this
Exactly.
play. Yeah. Nice. Okay. And you had your first feature film. So just kind of like, you know, you as an actor evolving, it kind of, in my mind, right, just from hearing what you're saying, because you graduated in 2016, is that right? Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot has been going on for you, which is pretty amazing. Like, but in Iceland, how is it when you became like after the show, after your radio thing? Does it feel like you've been continuously getting work as a person who, you know, as you mentioned, mixed heritage, not looking like everybody else?
has it felt challenging to get work, or has it been a continuous flow for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I like now 27 years old, and it's 2020. My work is starting to flow more like naturally.
Yeah, okay.
Like without me having to do so much. But the first years after graduation was tough.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was tough. I have worked for every project, worked really hard. Like writing my own scripts, doing a production, or doing a play, or sending out emails, or audition. I've put out so much work, and now a couple of years later, now we're starting to pay off.
Yeah, okay.
I know that it doesn't end here. I still have to work really hard, to do my own thing. So when I graduated, I did a TV show called Fangar, Prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened after that. Like I did that, and then like 5 months passed and nothing happened at all.
Wow.
And but I was writing the script of the play, and I was so close to giving up because I was so young and I didn't know what to do. So I prayed to the universe, like, oh universe, you have to help me out. Right now, if you don't help me out, then I'm going to become a firefighter. All right?
Wait, really? That's what is that your backup plan?
So I went out and do the firefighter, testing. You had to do like a running test and lifting test and everything, and then swimming test. I finished the running test to become a firefighter. I got through, and I had already prayed to the universe to help me out.
Yeah.
And then the phone rang, like a week after I prayed to the universe. And it was a director, and no, I got an email on Facebook. That's how small.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. True.
Through Facebook, like, hi Maria, we need an actress with an Asian heritage. Can you come and audition for it? I was like, yes. Well, since I'm the only Asian actress, I'll try to find some time for that. And I ended up meeting the directors, and we had a conversation about the script. And they were like, oh, by the way, there are only 2 actors in the movie, and it's you and Mads Mikkelsen. That's fine.
Yeah, right?
I was like, sure. Oh, well. And
no big deal.
And that way, it helps me out to have a different heritage. But I know
absolutely.
also that they were looking for some actresses in London as well and elsewhere. So yeah, I used to think that it would be harder for me than anybody else to get work in Iceland.
Yeah.
But I really don't think that's true right now. Because everybody has something. Yeah. Everybody like say to himself, oh, I can't do it because I have big ears, or like I'm the blonde girl number 530, or I'm too big, I'm too small, I'm too whatever. There's always something that people have against themselves.
Yeah.
But it's a decision. You can either make a choice to embrace that thing that's supposed to stop you or not,
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it, then you can't stand in yourself like gracefully and fully be yourself and fully be present if you're always thinking about, I don't belong here, I can't be here, I can't be here. So little by little, you just become smaller, and people notice that.
Yeah.
And that's how people might think, okay, maybe she's not confident to take on job, or maybe she's not comfortable with being in this situation, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that's great advice. So for anybody really, just
yeah,
in life, to go through and embrace themselves. So thank you for that. I think everyone in this conversation, everyone in who's watching this can take something from that, their own piece, whether they're
yeah,
acting or not. So
yeah.
and okay, so you're in this movie, Arctic, which if people haven't seen it, it is intense. Like, first of all, you're out in like the freezing cold the whole
Right.
time, and you're alone with Mads Mikkelsen in
So
this movie,
boring.
meaning yeah. So how was that experience? Because this is your first feature film, is like out the box, harsh environment, and then like this huge name of an actor. How was that for you?
Well, it was super tough, and it was overwhelming. So when I got the gig and I was on set on my first week, I was like saying to the universe, okay, this is not exactly what I was asking for. But yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, Matt said that it was definitely the hardest gig that he had ever done, the hardest movie. And we were sitting
Wow.
in a car, and he came into a car and it was freezing outside, and I was sitting in the
Yeah.
front seat. He came in, closed the door, and he said, "Oh, this is definitely the hardest movie that I've ever done." And I looked back to him and I said, "This is my first movie ever." And he was like, "You're going to be really tough in the future." Like, it was, because it was overwhelming on so many levels, and it was but he was really great. He's very, down to earth, really Scandinavian,
Yeah,
and
that's nice.
really easygoing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
it was
And I
great.
saw some pictures of the two of you together having built a snowman, like all these things. It was really cute. Granted, in the movie, none of that's happening. I mean, the movie is way more dramatic than that. There's no like fun moments.
Can you imagine, like, rolling the snowman, like?
That would be hilarious. So, and after that, I mean, like, this is in terms of career wise, because you had one of the hardest things you could do, solo play. So you did like one of the hardest things in theater, and then like environment wise, one of the hardest things on film. And then you got to go to the Cannes Film Festival, which
Again,
is
so
like, right, yeah, it's like your life. Oh my God, like it's like
right?
snooze fest, right? So,
This is not what I asked for.
It's like, universe, you can't do any better than this. So I'm just like thinking about, all of it went from being, you saying like 5 months when nothing felt like it was happening, and then just like on a bullet train, and you're going to like one of the biggest film festivals in the world. And like, so did you feel like your brain was able to catch up with what was happening, because a lot was going on so quickly?
No. But it's so interesting, though. Yes, it's true. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of things to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it just happened all so fast, but it was so
Yeah.
much fun. And you can, because it was so much business involved. Like, I really learned like the business side of the film industry and how it works.
Yeah. Okay.
And but yeah, it was really amazing. I was so proud of the Icelandic filmmakers that went to the festival, and just seeing them to be able to work on an international scale.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really proud of them to see how far they've come.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of more films are being done in Iceland.
Yes,
So it's booming. It's pretty crazy.
It's blooming in Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it also helps that like they get a tax break too. But I think just atmosphere wise, because Iceland has become so popular and there's so many different environmental like aspects to it, meaning like you can get a variety of really cool places that look like otherworldly, like another planet, or just, you know, give you a backdrop that's so gorgeous. And then you have the opportunity to work with really talented actors here like yourself. So it's just like all in one in a small country that people get to kind of like, Hollywood can jump in and get a piece of it.
Yeah. And Netflix has diversity quotes, or like you have to have adversity in if you're doing a TV show for Netflix, and you have to have a diversity.
Yeah.
There are
Okay.
like 5 or like 4 actors in Iceland that have heritage. Like, hey Maria, can you come on set? It's like, no, I'm busy, but call Altis, or like call that one.
Yeah, that's funny. It's like rotate it around, right?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So do you feel, I mean, maybe you've gotten contact from people because now, you know, you've been in many different scenarios. Have you heard from people of mixed heritage in Iceland who are younger, for instance, who are saying like, oh, I would love to get into acting, or maybe older? I mean, like, there's no real, you know, age limit when it comes to acting. You could technically start at any time of your life. But have you been hearing from people feeling inspired by you and, you know, your journey so far? Because there's much more to come, I'm sure, about wanting to get into this field.
No.
No, interesting. Okay, I was not expecting
that. Not people that have a different heritage, but maybe young, inspiring actors. Yes.
Okay.
But I wouldn't recommend it for everyone.
Okay, and why is that?
If my daughter would come up to me like, "Mom, I want to be an actress," I would be like,
yeah.
Are you sure? Because, you know, it's so hard in terms of like you're never sure if you have a job. You know, it's always just maybe, and you only know like how the next months are going to look like, and unless you can't imagine doing anything else than acting, then go for it. But if you or maybe at home and thinking, okay, I might want to become a nurse, that could be fun, then definitely do that. Become a nurse. You know, unless like there's no way for you to do anything else, then go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's your passion, basically.
Unless it's your absolute passion. Because it can't be a hobby, sorry. But if you want to make a living out of it, it can't be a plan B for you, to be completely honest, because it's so much work and it's so hard mentally.
Yeah. I've heard from many people that it could be soul crushing with the amount of no's that you get. Yeah. Okay. Rejection is not easy. That's for sure. So like
imagine like you're getting rejected like all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And you were mentioning that there's not very many people of mixed heritage in Iceland who act, but there is a much larger pool of people. And when we say mixed heritage, like you mentioned, there could be Polish, it could be French, it could be so many different types of individuals. Do you feel that in Icelandic theater, for instance, that this is represented? Meaning when, you know, different scenarios come about, that there is kind of inclusion of these types of stories, or is that something that still needs to be improved?
It has to improve. There's a lack of diversity in the theaters, definitely.
Yeah.
Because throughout, I think maybe 5 years, there has been improvement, but now I feel like it has stopped for a while. Because there aren't many actors who have a different background. But that being said, then we definitely should use them, the few that we have, and we should definitely use them to have all kinds of people on stage represent. Yeah, and so and same with the stories as well. I think the stories that are being told could be more diverse as well. But because it's a decision from the director of the theater to make those decisions, and it's only decision that a couple of people have, and it's a really easy decision. Not making a decision is a decision to not take a stand,
Right. That's true.
Because it's you as a director of the theater, you have a choice to, okay, I would love to see this actor and this actor and this actor. It's all in your power to make these decisions. So as soon as you only cast white cast members, then it's in itself a decision to not to have a diversity.
Yeah, definitely. I meant to ask you earlier when we were talking about your one-woman show, what did your mother think of the show?
She came to the premiere and she sat at the first row. It was really hard. I really tried not to look at her because she was just all my family were just crying and the audience but she was really moved by the story.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And you'd mentioned that she faced racism. Are you talking about in Iceland while she's been here over the last 30 years? Has that been part of her experience?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think that there's a lot of racism that I've witnessed that she might not recognize.
Okay.
For instance, if people talk to me in Icelandic about her in front of her in a way that she doesn't understand, so that's an information that I don't even translate to her. It just stops with me and I pinpoint it.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I witness something, I don't even let it go to her, So
you protected her from some of the stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
I just don't translate the things that other people might be saying,
Yeah. And do you think this language barrier, because your mom has Icelandic, you mentioned she kind of mixes it with Thai, Icelandic, and English. Do you feel like this is the thing that people maybe potentially hold against her? Maybe if they have something to say, is that part of it? Because you're the person who also, you're also Thai as well as Icelandic, but you fully understand the language. So that barrier, people can't get that part over on you. So do you think that this is the thing that's keeping them from feeling like they can treat your mother equally, or is there more to it than that?
I really don't know. I think it's a really tricky question. What is the thing that make people not treating other people equally? I think it's more of a mindset that you are something and then I'm something, and we're two different things, but we always forget that we are the same species. We are all people, and we both speak languages, but it's not the same language. That doesn't mean that I'm any less than you or you are any less than me. It's just a barrier that we could get through together if you would just please have the patience to help me out, and that's
Right.
the gist of it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Are you going to say something else? Or are you going to say something else after that?
no.
No, okay. I wasn't sure if I was cutting you off, but yeah, I agree with you. And the reason why I asked is because it's interesting just to hear different people's perspectives about it. Because there are people here who are like, if you just speak the language, you'll be fine. But it's like, it's not always that simple, right? There are other people who, right? There are people here who are born, raised Icelandic, and they still experience discrimination and whatever else. So it's not just always if you understand completely what's being said. Sometimes that could be more hurtful if you know what they're being said about you.
Exactly, and it's like I think we sometimes forget that Icelandic is a really tough language. It's not like it's not like for an Icelander to learn Danish or a Swedish language, which is really similar. It's like, it's a whole another thing, especially when you have an Asian language and a Thai language and an Icelandic language. It's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Like in Thai, the language is based on the on not the volume, but like the how it
tone.
the tone of it. It's a tone language. It depends on you might have the same word, but it depends in what tone you say the word. It means different things.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to say horse, come to me, and dog, ma. It's the same word, but it's a different tone, and that's their language. When you have Icelandic, it doesn't end the same way, but the ending of the word isn't the same. And it's just so multi-layered language.
Yeah.
And I think people just have to be patient and remember that Icelandic is a very hard language.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. In terms of your projects, I mean, is there anything that you are working on coming up soon that we can look forward to seeing you in?
Yes. I'm
that you're allowed to talk about, I guess.
I'm currently filming a Netflix TV show, and that will be, and I don't know when it's going to come out, but probably next year. And I'm also writing a second season of another TV show.
Nice. Awesome.
But I can't tell the name of the TV show.
So people should just follow you, right? To see about the updates about what you'll be in and what you'll. Okay. Yeah. I'll add your Instagram link. Is it best to follow you on Instagram? Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Great. So my last question for you is, what is your favorite Icelandic word or phrase?
I think the word midwife in Icelandic is a beautiful word. It's ljósmóðir, or if I would translate it directly, it would be light mother, which is a midwife. I think it's a really beautiful word. But my other favorite word is skúmaskot.
Skúmaskot. Okay.
It's really hard to describe the word in English. I've been trying. It's skúmaskot, and it's something. It means that something that's in the corner or an outsider, something that's over there, and it has like a melancholy vibe to it. That's cool.
Okay, interesting. I'm almost thinking of like, is it a person or is it just any scenario that is explaining a scenario?
It's the thing. It's how you would describe a corner somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Where's the pillow? Oh, it's there in skúmaskot. or
in the melancholy corner.
or can also be a person. Where is Maria? Oh, she's somewhere in Skomaskot or somewhere over there. It's something that's not in the same space that we are in, or it's in the dark. It's somewhere over there.
Fascinating. Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's what I'm going to have to work on, trying to learn how to incorporate. But María Thelma, this has been such a pleasure speaking with you and getting your insights. And also, I mean, now people have some cool things to go watch. This is Arctic if they haven't seen it already, and looking forward to seeing you in future productions. And overall, I think just sharing about your experience in Iceland helps to kind of broaden the narrative here. And so I really appreciate you coming on to do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, likewise.